Hello and welcome to Curiosity Club. Today we're going to do a really cool experiment where we use chemistry to create a toy that we can play with. We're going to combine glue, white glue, with borax laundry detergent and make this beautiful slime that's a toy we can play with and keep. Now this is interesting because we use the science of chemistry to combine two ingredients to create a third thing. We also put in the art aspect by coloring it with different colors that we invent. And I always say that if I'm going to make a toy, I want it to be beautiful. So, excuse me, I'll put this down and let's get started. What you'll need is your white glue. You don't need this much. We're going to use 4 to 8 ounces. Whatever you've got is fine. We're going to use borax laundry detergent. There is a chemical in here called borate that is the chemical that reacts with the chemical in the glue to create our very cool slime. We want some measuring things. I want a cup so I know how much glue I put in. I want some measuring spoons so I know the exact amount of borax I put in my water container. I have a water pitcher, and in here I've put in 16 ounces of water, but I only need 8, but I like a little extra. And then I'm going to have a spoon to mix, and I want food coloring because I really like the art and creative part of making it the way I want it. So if you've got all those things in front of you, we will get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure out some glue. I'm going to put 8 ounces of glue in this cup. And that's beautiful. Do not drink this. I like to tell my students, and they already know, that's not milk, even though that looks like a glass of milk. But you'll know when you get close to it. So I'm going to pour this in my mixing bowl. And I just love pouring glue in mixing bowls, just like this. And I'm going to get most of it out. And that's pretty good. So I'll put the cup over there. Then I want my slime to be beautiful. So now I start mixing colors. Now I could add red food coloring, which would make my slime pink because the glue itself is white, and if you add red, it's pink. Or I could make blue slime, which is pretty cool because I have blue food coloring. Or I could make yellow slime because I have yellow food coloring. But what I usually do, as you can see over here, is I like to mix colors because that is very, very interesting to me. So if I mix red and yellow, I get orange. And you can get different shades of orange depending on how much food coloring you put in. If I want a deeper orange, I might put more red. A lighter orange, I might put more yellow. You can also combine blue and red to make purple. And again, you can sort of adjust your colors depending on how much food coloring you put in. Another thing you could do is add blue and yellow and make green. And I have green right here, and that shows you a sort of a light pastel green. But again, you can change colors, and you may have different food colorings or water-based colorings and make colors completely different from this. I think today I would like to make a batch of, I think I'll make purple today. So I have 8 ounces of glue in here, so I don't want to use more than, say, 15 or 16 drops of food coloring all total. So I think I'm going to put in 8 drops of red and 8 drops of blue to make my purple. So I carefully measure the drops. Doesn't have to be perfect, but if you're, oops, I lost count because I was talking, but if you're being scientific, you'll take note of how many drops you used and write it on a piece of paper, and you can make the same kind or make it darker or lighter. Now I'm going to add blue, and I won't talk while I'm dropping in so I can keep track. 6, 7, 8. Okay. Now, I'll put the food coloring aside because I don't want it to stain. And you see I've got these drops in here. One of the things I like to do in the process is have fun with swirling the colors around a bit like that. I just think that makes it really, really cool. And you don't even have to use your spoon. You can just swirl around. The light's a little bad here, and it looks really cool. Now you can't capture, unfortunately, we can't capture that swirly stuff, so you can just enjoy that while you're doing it, just have a little fun with color. And I'll try and hold that up so you can see. That's just a fun thing to do, but you are eventually going to have to mix them to make the purple. So I'm going to mix them up. I enjoyed that, making that swirly art, and now I'm going to mix it up and we're going to end up with our purple, because it just won't hold that swirliness when we put the borax mix in there. So now I mixed it up pretty good to make the purple. And now I have sticky purpley glue. And I usually have a paper towel down here or a plate that I can put my sticky tools so I don't get it all over. So I'm going to park this spoon down here, and now we're going to make the chemistry water. Now, in order to get the borax into the glue mix, and I'll move the glue aside here. In order to get the borax into the glue mix, we need to have it suspended in water. So I am going to take my measuring spoons, and I know I have 16 ounces of water. If I have 8 ounces of glue, I really only need 8 ounces of water, but I always like to have some extra water and chemical mix just in case, and just in case I have a friend here. So the formula, and you'll see it written down in my recipe book, is for every quart of water, you want a little less than a tablespoon of borax. So I have 16 ounces, which is half a quart. So I'm going to get, I should have said you have about a tablespoon and a half per quart. So I'm going to do about 3/4 of a tablespoon of borax in the chemical water. So I put it in, and now I am going to get a stirring spoon for the water. This is a good stirring spoon for the water. I like the small one for mixing the glue. And I'm going to stir it so that it is a suspension. And in a suspension, the chemical powder, or the laundry detergent powder, is suspended. You can see the drops. They're suspended in the water. And I have to keep stirring so we have the same amount of borax detergent drops on the top of my measure as on the bottom, because it wants to sink. If this water was hot, like it would be in a washing machine, then the glue and borax and laundry powder would sort of melt into the water and it would be a solution. But this is a suspension. And so I'm getting my water and I'm going to pour it into the glue mix. It doesn't absorb into the glue, but when the chemical water touches the glue, the chemical reaction is instant and it starts to set the glue up and make it slime. So I'm going to stir it, and I'm going to pour a little bit more than 8 ounces just because life is easier that way. And the great thing about this is your chemical reaction is immediate. It's instantaneous. Look at that. See how it's setting up? The chemical water is going round and round, and it's setting up that first top layer of glue. But there's a bunch of gluey glue under there. So what I do is I hold on to my mixing bowl and I stir and stir, and I'm trying to get that chemical water to touch every bit of the glue. Because if it doesn't touch the glue will be all messy, gluey glue. Now look at this. I can pick it up like that and it just looks so cool. It looks like, I don't know what, it's very oozy and slimy. But you see, here are balls of gluey glue, and if I pop them, I have gluey glue on my hands. But you don't need to wash your hands. You can just start going in with your hands and squeezing those gluey glue, it's hard to say, gluey glue bubbles until they pop and the chemical water touches them. It doesn't do any good to hold it up here and squeeze. You'll just get your hand messy. But if it's in the water, pretty soon, not only will the glue set up and become slime that you can play with, but your hands will get clean. See, these parts of gluey glue that were on my hands, now they just peel right off because they're set up. So if you keep your hands in the water and you squeeze, 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 and I'll scrape the bottom of the bowl, then I can pick it up. See, I'm squeezing with my hand in the water. Squeezing, squeezing, squeezing. And now, let me pick it up a minute and I'll squeeze and see if it's still got gluey glue. I have a few bubbles of gluey glue. See, right there is a bubble of gluey glue. So I'm going to put it back in the water and I'm going to squeeze it until I have no more bubbles of gluey glue. And if you don't like putting your hands in stuff like this, you can just use your spoon and push it around and push it around. It takes a little bit longer, but it does work. And now I think I've pretty much got it. Whoops. Let me test it. I'm going to move this bowl over here because I may need to put it in the water again. And I have a plastic placemat here. This stuff will stick to cloth and paper, so don't use cloth and paper to line. But if you just have a kitchen table or a countertop, that works, and just clean the countertop off too, because the white glue will wash out of your clothes, and food coloring is not poisonous to your skin, and the borate, which is an organic chemical in the borax, is generally not poisonous. Some people are allergic to detergent and soap, but now look at that. There's no more pockets of gluey glue, and I have a beautiful, that's beautiful, a beautiful piece of slime that I can play with and blow bubbles with and do anything I want. So you are done and ready to play. And with the excess water, I don't want the little bits of glue that are in this bowl to go down the sink. So I always have a dump bin here, and a dump bin is just a empty container that I can pour all my bad stuff out. And if I just pour the water out, and I need to use two hands for this, and I don't let the solids go in there, I can put this water down the drain, and then these solids I can put in the garbage can, and I won't be clogging up the drain. So that, my friends, is how you make this wonderful toy that is so much fun to play with. So enjoy your slime, and I will see you next time at the Curiosity Club activities.